different fiscal years, just like our state and federal government have different fiscal years. Audited data for some tribes is available later than others. Therefore, we chose to use 2019 as the study year to ensure that we could obtain audited data from all participants to assure data consistency. From the aggregate economic profile, we estimated the direct contribution of the tribes in Oklahoma and created inputs into our in-plan economic model from which the economic impacts were estimated. The impacts reported today are derived solely from economic activity generated or administered by the tribes and the Indian Health Service. They exclude the direct contribution of many related Native American entities and the direct contribution of tribal citizens and self-identified Native Americans. As such, they should be considered conservative estimates of the full impact generated by Native Americans in the state. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Chief Batten, Chief of the Choctaw Nation.
Well, halito and greetings from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to be here today in the First American Museum. How appropriate it is that we're here in the First American Museum and to have all of our partners across the state to improve our state of Oklahoma. And I always say that, you know, I'm proud to be the chief of the Choctaw Nation. It's an honor for me to represent our Choctaw people. It's an honor to be an Oklahoman as well. And it's an honor to say that the Choctaw Nation in our area, we are blessed. We get to be the driving force in southeastern Oklahoma, and we had a $2.5 billion economic impact to our area and to all Oklahomans. You know, we do this through healthcare, we do it through community investments, we do it through education, and we do it through jobs. And one of the things that we're very excited about is through the Choctaw Nation, we have created over 11,700 jobs for southeastern Oklahoma. The Choctaw Nation, just to let you know, is one of the top 5 in the state as far as employers. And if you pull all of our partners here in this room together, we're number 2 in the state. We're only behind the Department of Defense in regards to employers. So I think we need to give ourselves a big round of applause for making that employment investment in our families and in our communities. You know, one of the things that we do is we're very much involved in education. We invest almost $50 million educationally. In education, that goes to all 77 different school districts that's located within the Choctaw Nation. It goes to all the higher education facilities located throughout the state. We spend over $3.5 million in what's called a summer school program. Most of our children, it's proven that if they cannot get past the 3rd grade on the same level, then they struggle with passing high school, getting their high school diploma. That is available not only our tribal members, but for all citizens in southeastern Oklahoma. We have over 700 students attend our Choctaw Head Start and Child Care programs. We were excited, you know, to be involved in housing. As most of you all know, housing is critical to success of our families, to not only tribal members, but to all Oklahomans. We have made a commitment in 2017 that we have built over 1,000 homes for our tribal members in southeastern Oklahoma, and we're very proud of that. You know, and one of the things, I know this sounds small, but it's critical to us in rural Oklahoma, is we were able to provide internet to 300 homes in southeastern Oklahoma. When we went through COVID, for those of you, when you went through that and you had a child at home, internet was critical. So we were very honored to help all of our people, not only, again, tribal members, but all Oklahomans achieve that. You know, we always talk about health care. And again, we're talking about our impact on Oklahomans as well. Of course, we provide over 1 million visits to our tribal members, but we were able to provide over 20,000 free flu shots to all Oklahomans. We had people drive from Oklahoma City, from Tulsa, down to Durant, Oklahoma to make sure and get their COVID vaccination, and we're very proud to reduce that COVID vaccine. But when I talk about when we are able to invest in our communities, we do what is called a $2 million annual Choctaw contribution to our communities. And what that does is to all of our businesses that we have, we give back to those communities so that we can make sure and help rise that community. We also do our Choctaw Development Fund, which also helps to build things such as we built a Stigler Sports Complex. We also helped with Broken Bow and McAllister build splash pads for all people within those communities. Also, I was talking about jobs. We believe in small business. We give a $5,000 forgivable loan to our people in small businesses. They have created over 2,000 jobs just through our Chochtawpreneur program. And just lastly, I'll just say the Choctaw Nation has called southeastern Oklahoma our home since 1830. Since we came across the Trail of Tears, our blood runs through the land, the water, and is in the air that we breathe. The $100 million we're investing in the reservation is investments for the generations of Oklahoma. In Choctaw Nation, we have no exit strategy. This is our home. This is where we will stay. And so we're looking forward to a proud and productive Oklahoman and generations of Choctaws and Oklahomans as a whole. Yakoki, which means thank you, and God bless you. And at this time, it's my honor to introduce our partner in making Oklahoma better, the Honorable Chief Glenna Wallace.
I could almost say ditto and sit down. We are limited to 5 minutes. If you look behind me, we have representatives from 4 of the largest tribes in Oklahoma. I don't represent a large tribe. In fact, I represent 9 small tribes in northeast Oklahoma. We're oftentimes referred to as the Northeast 9. If I try to compare statistics with these large tribes, that would be impossible, but that doesn't mean that our contribution is not immeasurable. Thank you, Hoyt. So, Ottawa County is located in what we call the 4-state corner area. So within 30 minutes, we can be in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, or Kansas. That means that we bring in lots of revenue from other states into Oklahoma. Because having 9 tribes there, we are also distinct in having the most number of casinos. So we have 12 or 13 casinos in a county that has a population of 31,000 people. We don't have to go far to do our gaming. The impact from that gaming is tremendous upon Oklahoma, definitely Ottawa County, but throughout Oklahoma. If I do some comparison, the county itself is 31,000 and 20% are considered to be Native Americans. That means 6,200 people in Ottawa County are Native Americans. We have far more than the 9 tribes who live there, so other tribes are represented in that 6,200 number. And yet we can document that we provide 5,000 jobs. So when you think about 6,200 Native Americans, certainly more than 1,200 are going to be children. So we have a job for every single Native American plus. So we can't operate our businesses without helping other people in Oklahoma. And we are proud to do that and glad to do that. When I think of the 4 large tribes represented behind me, they represent a total enrollment of about 720,000. When I put the 9 tribes together, we represent about 40,000. So you can see there is a distinct difference. But I like to say you need to remember that when the tribes all get together and each one has a vote, Northeast Oklahoma has more power than the rest of you put together. So never forget that. We have impact in more ways than one. I tried to argue with some people saying that we were limited to 5 minutes, and since Chief Batten was representing only 1 tribe and he had 5 minutes and I'm representing 9, that says I should be here a long time, but I'm working not to do that. So I'm not going to be able to be as specific as Chief Batten is because I want to give credit to all of the tribes that are represented there in the Northeast 9. And so the 9 tribes that are there, that are located, are Wyandot, Quapaw, Eastern Shawnee, the Peoria tribe, the Ottawa tribe, the Modoc tribe, the Miami tribe, the Seneca Cayuga tribe, and then the Shawnee tribe. 7 of us were removed from the Ohio Valley. My tribe, along with the Seneca Cayuga, after the Indian Removal Act was passed in 1830, we were the first to be forcibly removed, and we walked from Ohio to Indian Territory. We have made contributions in different ways. In donations, we can indicate that collectively we donate more than $5 million a year. Imagine $5 million donated to a county that has only 31,000 people. It's a significant measure. Imagine our housing. We have 4 tribes this year that their major goals include, because we have such a shortage of housing, not only for our people but everyone else, that 4 tribes have large plans and are in the process of adding more than 100 homes so that we can alleviate part of that shortage there. As far as infrastructure, again, Ottawa County is a poor county. It represents what is called a strike force county, meaning that we have been consecutively 20 to 30 years listed below the national poverty level. And so the impact that we have there is tremendous. Without question, we are the #1 employer in that entire county. And again, our contributions go beyond Ottawa County and go into the entire state of Oklahoma. As far as infrastructure, the Ottawa tribe was responsible for providing 1 major bridge. The Eastern Shawnee tribe was responsible for providing 1 major bridge. All of the tribes have contributed to building roads in the area. All of the tribes are working upon upgrading their water and their wastewater programs. All of the tribes, we definitely have a shortage of the internet in that area, and all of us are working to provide internet broadband to our people there. And when we provide it to ours, we provide it to the area, and so that means that others have it as well, and that impact is tremendously. And then in addition to those 9 tribes, we pride ourselves upon working together, and so we have an organization that we refer to as ITC. ITC is intertribal organization that we have. So the intertribal that we have, as we meet once a month, we all talk about our goals. We meet there in the largest city in Ottawa County, which would be Miami, Oklahoma. It has become known to be the place that if there is an organization that needs help, or if there is an organization who wants to spread its word, go to ITC, because that's the place where you will get the recognition and where you will get the help and where you will get the assistance. It's a wonderful reputation to have. Oftentimes at some of our meetings, more time is spent upon how many people can we help and in what ways can we help than in doing other business. Again, that's a wonderful tradition for the tribes and a wonderful reputation to have. And the goal at ITC this particular year, we have 6 of those 9 tribes who are binding together, and we are pursuing an intertribal justice system. Some of the contributions that I did not mention is that the Miami tribe donated $2 million to the Ottawa County Jail because it is so desperate. And other contributions that have been made. The Choctaw tribe regularly extends and goes beyond in assisting with EMT services. And they spend over their income more than $100,000 a year to support the area. The Eastern Shawnee tribe, we've had a fire department that was unable to finish being built, and we have stepped up and contributed over $175,000 to help them. We've contributed to the police department. The Wyandotte tribe has donated vehicles to the city of Miami, even though they don't live in the city of Miami, and they're considered a little bit distant from where we are. We have helped with organizations, nonprofit centers. We host things like cancer galas. We have 2 large health facilities that are provided by these, and we don't limit those health facilities to natives. Anyone can come there, and many do. Like Batten indicated, Chief Batten indicated, we too provided all of the vaccinations, and we had people from all over who came there. So these 9 tribes, in pursuing this intertribal justice system, the 6 who have gone together, the multiple tribes, we will have a unified code. The goal is to have full cross-deputization of every single tribe in that county. courtrooms, we'll have state-of-art rehabilitation, we'll have focused detention centers, and this is a historic undertaking and an example of what contributions small tribes can make. We're proud to be the North 9 of Ottawa County, Oklahoma. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chief Wallace. And Chukma, my name is Dakota Cole, and I serve as the treasurer for the Chickasaw Nation. And on behalf of Governor Bill Anatubby, Lieutenant Governor Chris Anatubby, and Ambassador Neil McCaleb, we are excited to tell you about the economic impact of the Chickasaw Nation. Our economic impact totals more than $3.7 billion, emanating from 13,000 employees and billions of dollars in expenditures. But I want to first let you all know that our hearts go out to the people in Marshall County and those impacted by the weather-related events. Certainly, one, if not more, of the 113,000 jobs that are created through this type of economic impact were there in support of those families that have been impacted. I was proud to see our emergency management services headed south to that part of the state, whether it be in Kingston, Oklahoma, or Madill, Oklahoma. So certainly it hits home that if not for the economic impact, a lot of these jobs would not be there to support those families. So our heart goes out to them. It's also, like Victor said, it's a positive day. We stand here in the First Americans Museum. Thank you, Jim Pepper, and all the team that put this together. It's a beautiful facility. We are very, very proud to support this facility. Also, we've got a great infographic here, and it talks about $232 million in Medicaid expenditures. Certainly, that is beneficial, but what is more important are the people we are helping. I know just in the last 6 months, our Department of Health has signed up more than 2,700 patients that now have services and support that they didn't previously have. Education, we continue to elevate our investment in education, making it a cabinet role at the Chickasaw Nation, and in doing so, increasing our investment more than 30% in the last year. We're humbled to be before you and to share with you the economic impact. I am humbled personally, raising the 7th generation Chickasaw and Oklahomans with my 2 kids in, to Chief's point, an impoverished area. There is no exit strategy. Like Chief Batten said, we are here, we are not leaving, and we're proud to be here, and we're proud to be partners. We're proud to be Oklahomans. And I'm certain that Governor Anatubby and Lieutenant Governor Anatubby would say it much better. But we understand our roles, our role in South Central Oklahoma across our 13 counties, and it is to invest in education, it is to invest in housing, it is to invest in economic development, in our partners, our philanthropic groups, and in institutions such as the First Americans Museum. We're thankful that the Oklahoma Tribal Finance Consortium has brought together 16 tribes to communicate the economic impact. I'm thankful also that our economic impact continues to grow. That indicates that we've made good investments and that we are a good partner, going from $12.9 billion to now more than $15 billion in just 2 years. I don't like to speculate as the treasurer, but if I could, I would speculate that economic impact has grown even more through fiscal year 21 and now into fiscal year 22. We appreciate you all being here. We are happy to share these blessings from the Chickasaw Nation, and we look forward to seeing what the results are in 2021. So on behalf of Governor, we thank you. And I also want to make sure that I introduce someone very special. President Terry Pardon from the Wichita and affiliated tribes is going to share with you all more about the impact that her tribe has on all of Oklahoma. Thank you.
A little bit short. Good morning, everyone. So, Sheeta Sheets Ock, Terry Parton, Titty Kitty Kitties, I said, how are you all? My name is Terry Parton. I'm Wichita, and I'm president for the Wichita and affiliated tribes, which is comprised of the Wichita, Waco, Keachai, and Tawakoni bands. And I'd just like to welcome you all to the Aboriginal homelands of the Wichita and affiliated tribes. Since time immemorial, our Wichita people have been here from Wichita, Kansas, all the way to Waco, Texas. In 1855, a treaty was signed and set up our reservation boundaries in southwest Oklahoma. Confirmation of the present-day boundaries of our reservation in Caddo County was negotiated in 1872. In addition, in southwest Oklahoma, you have the Apache tribe, the Delaware, Caddo, Fort Sill Apache, Kiowa, and Comanche tribes. Our tribe, we have a casino up in Hinton that employs, our casino, our gaming commission, our hotel that we own up there, and our smoke shop employ about 170 people up in the Hinton area. We have 3 child care centers in Anadarko and our tribal complex that employs anywhere from 130 to 150 people at any given time. I have 3 housing additions that are located in Anadarko that provide housing to residents other than Wichita. And so that's kind of our economic impact in that area. You know, if you've ever been to southwest Oklahoma, there's not a lot of economic activity there. And so we do our best to do our part in providing that. Our Wichita people's always been concerned about economic issues, foremost among our concerns with our agricultural goods, which we traded with surrounding tribes. As Oklahoma Territory took shape, those commercial interactions included non-Indian communities. Although times and circumstances have changed, our economic ties to and our interaction with surrounding Indian and non-Indian neighbors have only grown. The Wichita and affiliated tribes, along with other tribal nations nearby, play a significant role in the economic well-being of rural communities in and around Anadarko and also in Caddo County and Comanche County. The report released today is the latest in a series of reports stretching back a decade that have looked at the financial impacts of tribal governments, tribal gaming, and tribal communities in the state of Oklahoma. Every one of those reports in the past decade and the one being released today show the tribal economic impact on Oklahoma as substantial and overwhelmingly positive. Oklahoma tribes invest significant resources into transportation infrastructure around the state. These investments benefit all Oklahomans who use the infrastructure improvements. Tribes are the bedrock of commerce in several rural areas in Oklahoma at a time when population is shifting to urban areas such as Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Tribes bring tribal government and tribal businesses to rural Oklahoma, injecting a massive amount of revenue into those communities. Tribes bring out-of-state visitors to rural Oklahoma and inject tourist dollars into the rural Oklahoma economy. Tribes are expanding their tribal government facilities and their entertainment and hotel operations. This means large capital expenditures and improvements and more dollars revolving in the Oklahoma economy. Revenues from similar non-tribal commercial businesses would be shifted off to cities out of state. Those revenues would leave the state and would not be benefiting Oklahoma in the same way that tribal dollars are deployed locally, benefiting all Oklahomans. Tribes can truthfully say, we are Oklahoma, and we intend to see revenue benefits flow into Oklahoma where our families and children are, where your families and children are. Look at the figures and statistics and dollar amounts in this tribal economic report from Oklahoma tribes. You may be surprised and reminded just how important tribes are to the well-being of Oklahoma. In 2004, legislation creating the Tribal State Act had its goal, one, to rescue the Oklahoma horse racing industry and the establishment of Class III gaming in Oklahoma. The act accomplished both goals. As part of the compact agreement, tribes are to pay exclusivity fees on games in their Class III operations. In the 2016 report on statewide economic impacts from Oklahoma Tribal Government gaming, those exclusivity payments to Oklahoma since 2004 were a little over $1 billion. This year, the total of exclusivity payments are expected to surpass $2 billion. In the 2017 economic impact study, the report noted Oklahoma tribes employed 51,674 Oklahoman workers in 2017, paying out wages and benefits of $2.7 billion to Oklahomans. If Oklahoma tribes were an industry, they would rank as the 11th and the largest by employment. The Wichita-affiliated tribes is proud of the important role it plays in the Oklahoma economy. Our tribe is a little over 3,600 tribal members with approximately 2,500 living in Oklahoma. Our tribe creates over 300 jobs for Southwest Oklahoma in healthcare, government, gaming, and other business in the rural communities in and around Anadarko and throughout Caddo County and Comanche counties, and that number is growing. The wages and benefits paid by the Wichita-affiliated tribes alone toppled more than $12,500,000. Other tribes in Caddo County and around the state are making the same kind of investment in their communities. Tribes provide dollars directly to local communities to support community projects and goals. Besides jobs, such as investments include donations to local school districts and governments supporting local primary and secondary schools. Tribes also support local health and wellness and cultural programs. Tribal governments partner with Federal Indian Health Services, also known as the IHS, to provide health care services for tribal members and their families. During the pandemic, we were able to assist non-Indians in getting the vaccine. And I would just like to, just on behalf of the Wichita people, I would like to thank you all. As the tribe Aboriginal to Oklahoma, just thank you for allowing me this time to speak today. Thank you, and I would like to introduce Chief David Hill.
He must thinks I'm taller than her. Good morning. You know, you're going to hear a lot of the same response from each tribal leaders here on how we helped the state of Oklahoma. As Chief Wallace had mentioned, ITC, Intertribal Council, we have the same as well, 5 tribes. Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, and Muskogee Creek, where we gather to share ideas what we do for our respective tribes, where what we can do better, or, you know, we may not always agree, but you know what we do is sit her at the table, discuss what are we going to do better. So I really appreciate the commitment that each tribal leader has up here. Just want to hit some of the highlights from what our Muskogee Creek Nation has done. I'll go into health first. In addition to our Indian health clinics, the Muskogee Creek Nation Department of Health operates community hospitals, a large-term acute care facility and physical rehabilitation center serving all Oklahomans. In response to the effect of the pandemic, the Muskogee Creek Nation purchased the former Cancer Treatment Center of America located in Tulsa, and also renamed it the Council Oak Comprehensive Health Care. And it was finalized in August, and the hospital is scheduled to open this summer. Shortly after acquiring our Tulsa facility, we announced the opening of a, get this, monoclonal antibody infusion center to help the Tulsa area health system with the fight against COVID-19. To date, we have infused more than 4,500 Oklahomans total. In addition to our infusion center, our Department of Health provided testing and vaccination for any individuals. We have delivered more than 45,000 doses of the vaccine, partnering with school districts, churches, and community centers, offering vaccines to both natives and non-natives. In Okfuskee County, we provide EMS services with no cost share to the community. Some of you may have heard and read in the news that we recently hired our first Surgeon General. We want to do more to prevent disease and prolong the life of our citizens and those that live within our communities. Just as the U.S. Surgeon General focuses on pressing public health challenges at a national level, Surgeon General Fry will focus on combating the public health challenges we face here at home. Our focus has always been to protect our people and the communities we serve. Now going to tourism. Recently, this past year, we hosted the Miss Oklahoma pageant, as well as the Miss Teen and Miss USA pageant, in which it also helped the surrounding communities, James, Bigsby, and Tulsa area, with their economic. So appreciate that. Not only that, I have to mention this, and also Sterling Harjo, a Seminole Creek citizen, had the reservation dogs where at least 95% of the filming was on the reservation in Okmulgee at our headquarters. And actually this week he is starting episode 2. He hasn't called my name yet, so I may be in the background. And due to the pandemic, 2 years as principal chief, we haven't had our festival, but this year we are. Our average has been 30 to 35 attendance, thousands, 35 to 35,000 attendance. With the pandemic decreasing, we're expecting at least 40 plus attendance. And that'll be June, not to advertise, but June 23rd to the 26th. Everyone is welcome. Now I'll go straight to agribusiness and food sovereignty. We built the Loop Square meat processing facility, and it is, as far as I know, we are exceeding our projections as of last week, I believe. We've overcome that. Our ranch, we purchased a 5,600 ranch, the biggest in our tribe's history. Flood insurance program. We partnered with Tulsa, and that will reduce the nation's liability and all within the Tulsa city limits. Cost of insurance will be reduced by 40%, which will be a Class 1 rating. That's also having the partnership that we have with Tulsa, along with Osage Nation and Cherokee Nation. Our public safety. We grew from 35 to 80 officers within the last 6 to 18 months, and still moving forward. We organize our court system, adding additional judges and prosecutors within our courts. Expanding tribal, which you heard this last week, we're expanding tribal court jurisdiction over non-Indians through the VAWA Act. Transportation, which is also a critical infrastructure that we have. The roads and bridges that we partner with our counties and the state, and we will continue to do so. As well as our transit, we have 3 buses that you're lucky to get it. You have to call 2 months ahead of time to even schedule that. So it's something we're very proud of, to show our seal driving down the highway. As it's been mentioned before, we are still here. We're not going anywhere. Through the ARPA and CARES funding, through our direct assistance to our citizens, approximately over $500 million directly into the economy. Very proud of that. No 5 minutes is coming up closely, but I just want to end saying that exciting and dynamic things planned for the future of Muskogee Creek Nation. And all the great opportunities are ahead of us. And my last quote, as I thought Chief Batten was going to say it, but on the far end of the Trail of Tears was a promise. Thank you. Left one thing out, didn't I? Next, I would like to...
Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be
Chief
with
Hoskins.
you today virtually. I'm sorry that I could not be there in person, but what an incredible day to celebrate tribal economic impact. I think we're seeing today the great impact that tribes have, and I'm glad the Cherokee Nation is a part of something unique. We're all doing something impactful to improve the health outcomes for our people. And it translates into real economic impact, and I think it translates into real health impact. The tribes represented here today represent about 3.5 million unique patient visits a year. And think about that number for a moment. In a single year, over 3.5 million patient visits being taken care of, being absorbed by tribal health systems. The state of Oklahoma saved $86 million in Medicaid spending thanks to the activities of the tribal health system. That is the matching funds spent at tribal health facilities. That alone is an impactful number in terms of the overall health care system in the state of Oklahoma. Let me just focus for a bit on Cherokee Nation's health system. We operate the largest tribal health system in the country. Over 1 million patient visits a year in our facilities. What we've done over the past decade, and a bit more than the past decade, is we have transformed our health system by building world-class facilities. We've taken the revenue that we've generated through our businesses, and in some cases through our healthcare system with third-party revenue, and we put 100% of that back into serving the Cherokee people. That means some of the best healthcare facilities around northeast Oklahoma are built by the Cherokee Nation. If you look at these health centers, they're built in a very efficient manner. They're the reasons why you go into small communities and you see state-of-the-art facilities, and that increases our ability to attract top talent to these healthcare systems. But most importantly, it means healthcare to rural Oklahomans. It means healthcare for families who need it. It also means an economic impact for a lot of small towns out there that otherwise would not receive that kind of impact. We're continuing to do more. We're building on what we've done in the last decade. Just last year, I announced that we would replace our flagship hospital, or the flagship of our system, W.W. Hastings in Tahlequah, with a state-of-the-art hospital. It's a $400 million investment. It'll be the largest capital healthcare investment the Cherokee Nation has ever made. And we're not stopping there. The last clinic in our system, in terms of age, the oldest clinic, I should say, is in a little town called Salina. Now, that clinic isn't too old. It was built in the 90s, but when you compare it to the rest of our facilities, it needs to be replaced. And so we're replacing it with a $35 million facility in the small community of Salina. That's going to make a big impact there because we're going to increase the capacity of that clinic, and back to the hospital, we're going to increase the capacity and services at that hospital. That's going to be more jobs. It's going to be better access to health care for the Cherokee people. That is going to have a rippling effect across the region in terms of economic impact. The OSU Medical School is something we're very proud of. I don't think you'll find a better partner in rural health care than Oklahoma State University. That's why we've been so proud to partner with them on a lot of projects. The most important one is creating the first medical school in the history of Indian country, in the history of this country. That's the OSU Medical School at Cherokee Nation. If you go to our campus, and I just mentioned that we're replacing W.W. Hastings Hospital, that's the location that I'm talking about. You see a state-of-the-art outpatient facility that we have built in just over the past few years. That facility is magnificent. Right next to it is the OSU Medical School. Can you imagine being a young doctor and you get a chance to be immersed in excellence in tribal healthcare? That's what's happening at that school. That school, by the way, boasts about 25% Native American enrollment. It's great for me as chief to be able to talk to families and say, your son or your daughter could be a doctor someday, and we'll get behind them with support in terms of education. But what I can also tell them is that they can go to school at the first med school in Indian country, Oklahoma State University Medical School of the Cherokee Nation. And then I can point to all the great healthcare infrastructure. I can point to the thousands of healthcare jobs. I can point to the millions of dollars we put into healthcare. And I can tell that family that your son or daughter can not only be a doctor, and they can not only go to medical school in the Cherokee Nation, they can serve their people in centers of excellence for healthcare. And that's the Cherokee Nation health system. We're doing a lot of other things. We looked at our emergency medical services that provide services to a lot of rural areas that struggle. And what we're doing there is putting $54 million in to upgrade our fleet and expand our facilities for our EMS system. What I have found is chief is that so many of the communities out there in rural Oklahoma depend on that emergency medical services. We're going to be there when the time is needed. One very exciting thing we're doing with the Cherokee Nation, this is something our Deputy Chief, Brian Warner, talks a lot about, is what can we do to improve the health of our people before they ever set foot in an outpatient facility, and certainly before they have to set foot in a hospital. What can we do to create healthier lifestyles, healthier environments out there in our communities? Well, we're putting funds towards that effort, and other tribes have done it as well. In fact, we're following the lead of a lot of other tribes that are here today. But we are building wellness centers in the Cherokee Nation. We're dedicating some of our healthcare revenue, that third-party revenue, to something we call the Public Health and Wellness Fund. And so our plan is to build a $10 million wellness center in Stillwell, Adair County. We did a study of where the need was the greatest in terms of health disparities and access to things like good nutrition, food, exercise opportunities, and we said Adair County is where we should start. We're not going to stop it. We're going to use those funds to find creative ways to help our people, again, be healthier before they ever set foot in that health clinic. Those sorts of efforts are our approach to a holistic view of medicine. At the end of the day, what it means, though, is that our people will be healthy. If our people are healthier, that means our communities are healthier. And then if you look beyond the immediate concern with healthcare, which is making sure people are healthy, you see a great deal of economic impact. You see people going to work every day to be doctors and nurses, all the other professions, all the other support staff that build these wonderful buildings. You see the construction of our $400 million hospital, and you see what kind of economic impact that's going to have just on the construction side alone. But then you look at the long-term health of Oklahoma's economy, long-term health of its people, and you consider the sheer numbers that I've talked about here as we visit about all of the tribe's healthcare impact. And you start to realize that if suddenly the tribes were to not be in Oklahoma, our healthcare systems were to vanish one day, I think Oklahoma's healthcare system would collapse on itself. I think Oklahoma's economy would take a hit if for some reason the tribal healthcare systems were gone. But of course, they're not gone. They're growing every day. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Indian tribes in this state are the best friends that the state of Oklahoma has ever had, and you can measure that in so many ways. But I can tell you we're all proud of how we measure that in terms of healthcare. We're making healthcare a priority, we're investing in it, and it is inuring to the benefit of every single Oklahoman. So I'm proud of where we're headed in terms of Cherokee Nation's healthcare, but I'm even more proud to stand with my fellow leaders, knowing they represent tribes that also make healthcare a priority. That's good for all of us. Thank you all very much.
I always have to do this. Easy now, easy. Good. It's a good day. It's a good day. Hinche, hello. My name is Lancer Stevens. As the chairman of the Oklahoma Tribal Finance Consortium, I am honored to be here with you today and to provide some of the results of the Oklahoma Native Economic Impact Report. Tribal nations in our state are reliable partners that continually invest millions into the communities and the state in which we live. Tribal nations do this because they want to be an active partner in creating sustainable economies. As seen in the report that is going to be passed out to you, in 2019, Oklahoma's tribal nations had an economic impact of over $15.5 billion, in a state through their business revenues and government expenditures. That's an incredible number. Tribes support over 113,000 jobs. This report tells us that tribes are not only financially strong, but rank as one of the top employers of the state. These professions include our teachers, our police officers, our first responders, our nurses, our doctors, our mechanics. Basically, every sector is represented by these jobs. Tribes are also making investments to directly improve people's lives, particularly in the areas of healthcare and education. In 2019 alone, $232 million was paid by tribes for Medicaid expenditures. More importantly, in 2019, tribes saved the state of Oklahoma over $86 million for the reduction of Medicaid matching payments that otherwise would have been paid by the state. Additionally, tribes provide a healthcare safety net in our rural communities. These are facilities that are not reliant on state funding, therefore they will not close. In addition, there are over 3.5 million patient visits to these tribal health facilities, including both native and non-native Oklahomans. Tribes place a high priority on education. They not only operate early learning centers and primary and secondary schools, but also fund millions of dollars in scholarships for higher education. Tribes have always been committed to public education for citizens and non-citizens alike. In fact, more than $1.8 billion has been paid in exclusivity fees for education since 2006. In 2019 alone, $84 million was paid to support schools, municipalities, and other community initiatives. Both our tribal economic impact output and employment continues to grow. This means stronger and healthier economies for Oklahoma, as well as more stable jobs for Oklahomans across the state. Tribes are investing in our people, our infrastructure, and Oklahoma's future in unmatched ways. While these investments represent significant funding that both the state of Oklahoma and citizens rely on, the total economic impact by tribes is truly nothing short of amazing. Again, over $15.5 billion. Not counting these numbers are the native-owned businesses, in which there are over 11,000 of, both large and small, urban and rural. These provide jobs not just for our American Indian populations, but for all Oklahomans. Our tribal governments and diverse industries are consistently growing and thriving. The 2019 Economic Impact Report reinforces that our tribal nations are continually making wise investments that benefit all of Oklahomans. This is truly a momentous day in Indian country, and on behalf of the Oklahoma Tribal Finance Consortium, we are thrilled to tell this story. For additional information and a link to the full study, please visit the website www.oknativeimpact.com. Again, thank you for joining us today. God bless you, God bless our tribal nations, and God bless Oklahoma. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our press conference. If we could have all the tribal leaders, whether they spoke or not, if you could gather here to the back with our numbers so we could take a really nice photo. And then obviously there's press here, downstairs, and upstairs if you want to do an interview. And for the tribal leaders, I believe we have some talking points. If you could go ahead and pass that out. Thank you all for coming. What a great day. Thank you.